Yeah, Avebury is more than archaeology to me. It's my home away from home, a place of connection, as I say, between past and present, people and nature, earth and sky. What fascinates me most about Avebury was never meant to be viewed, I think, the whole site as a single isolated site. It's part of a vast, sacred landscape woven together by pathway, earthworks, burial mounds, springs, alignments that still inspire today. So we've got obviously Silbury Hill, the largest human-made structure in all of Europe, Shoalhead Spring, we've got West Kennet Long Barrow, which is probably my favourite spot of the whole Avebury landscape. We've got the Ridgeway, the ancient trackway, the oldest, I think probably the North Downs. Is it gone off again? That's all these images are all from my private collection, from my collection. That's from 20, I've got this really weird recall for dates, that's 2015, that my friend took. So yeah, all these wonderful places around Avebury. You've got the sanctuary, of course, you know, all the avenues going out. There's so much to explore. Now, if I take people down there for the first time, say, or they go on their own, say, please go outside the circle. It's not just the stones, okay? They're all been re-erected only, what, 70, 80 years ago by Alexander Keeler. I think get out and spend a couple of days there going around the whole landscape. It's absolutely astounding. See, when I walked there, I'm reminded that the people who created these places understood the landscape in ways we are only beginning to rediscover, as almost what Debbie was saying earlier on. They observe the movement of the sun and moon, the changing seasons and the rhythm of the natural world with incredible care and attention. Now, I run a YouTube channel. I do pretty much heritage, nature, all stuff like that, history, travel. I mean, there's Florida videos in between, something about an ancient church. One thing I do go on about in my videos is I always wonder why these ancient structures, could be an Anglo-Saxon church, could be a stone circle, why are they built where they were? Were our ancients much more in tune with the landscape than we are now in our very much westernised society, you know? And I think we're only starting to rediscover that in the last 50 odd years. You know, as Debbie was saying about shamanism, I think that's got a big part to do with it, You know, Avebury would have been sort of like the capital of the ancient world in England back in the day. So even the North Downs Way, the South Downs Way, which are now national walking trails, did you know they all converge into Avebury? Not Stonehenge, but Avebury, which I found absolutely fascinating. So when they came across the landmass, into Kent, going past the Cauldron Long Barrow, all around there, straight, because the Cauldron Long Barrow is one of the oldest structures in the country. But they would have gone through there all the way into Avebury, avoiding London, because it's shit. Think like Silbury Hill, that would have been chalk white, you know, 5,000 years ago. Chalk white. What was it used for? Nobody knows. All the archaeological digs that have been there can't come up with anything. Legend has it was the burial of King Seal and his golden horse, you know, but they found nothing in there, you know. So what was it for? Was it a beacon? It could have been a beacon on an ancient trackway. We're right by the Ridgeway. So why are they built where they are? So my passion for Avebury comes not only from its mystery, but also from the feeling it creates, a sense of timelessness, reflection and curiosity being the main one. It encourages us to ask deeper questions and who we are, where we come from, and how our ancestors experienced the world around them. I took a friend there once in about 1996. I said, well, what did you think? He went, it's a bunch of stones, isn't it, really? And he literally, that was his exact words, it's a bunch of stones, and I never took him again. In many ways, Avebury continues to speak to us, not through words, but through presence, atmosphere, and the enduring marks left upon the land itself. And that is why I continue to explore, learn from and share my fascination with the remarkable ancient landscape. That's beautiful golden sunset that was back in 2015, just by the Longstones, Adam and Eve. I first came to Avebury 35 years ago. It was May 1991, long time ago. And although I'd heard about it, nothing prepared me for that drive along the horrible A4361 that goes right through the temple, which astounds me that's still there. But as I came in, saw these incredible Sarsen stones, absolutely, I mean, it's easy to say blew my mind. It literally blew my mind. What prompted these ancients to gather a workforce of the size of that to construct it? You know, did the chieftain or the shaman say, what's that, Mr. Shaman? Well, I've got an idea to build a big circle. Oh yeah, what of? Sarsen stone? Yeah, all right. How did they mobilise all the local tribes together? How did they do that? Very rudimentary primitive languages, which probably came from Europe. We don't really know. Again, it's prehistory, so we can only fathom a guess. And one of the incredible physical landscape of the Avebury area, you know, I'm just drawn by the energy there. I always get a bit of, I mean, I'm not psychic, nothing like that, but I do detect earth energy currents, which I could be in an old church and find and think a little bit of a moment, you know. And Avebury is so powerful.
You're not psychic then?
Yeah, no. I'm not a medium or anything like that, although I do paranormal research as well. We're going to come on to that a little bit later on. But yeah, I can sense energies, but I'm not psychic or anything like that, although I've worked with many mediums over the years. Oh, another pretentious, that's a screenshot. I didn't literally go up and go, okay, take the photo. When I first went there in 91, another reason we went there is all to do with this personal journey, okay? I don't want to make it about, and it sounds like it's about me, I don't really want it to be too much about just me, but I was very much into the explosion of the crop circles seasons back in 1990, 91, 92, 93, when it really was just headline news, you know. And with crop circles, I'm very sceptical, I'm a sceptical bugger, unfortunately. It was also saying, with the explosion of the crop circle phenomena, with my first experience of a pictogram, here in Lockeridge, actually, just one of the fields, I think it might be that field over there. I remember this was here back then. And that really drew me back into the Avebury landscape again, because I started seeing all these circles and pictograms all going around the area. Although we still have crop circles now, I personally, my experience, think they're all human made. I'm not saying there's nothing mystical about it, but I think they're all human hands made them. But people do report that they have experiences once they've created a particular circle or pictogram. Matthew Williams was the only person who does a new great YouTube channel called The Secret Vault. He does a lot of urbex, and he was the only person ever been prosecuted for making a crop circle back in, I think, 2001, 2002. So is Avebury an energy centre? Is it an energy centre? I'd like to say yes. I'm sure a lot of people will agree with that. You know, even when we do chanting in West Kennet Long Barrow, unfortunately, because it's so much concrete in there now, Peter Knight, the researcher Peter Knight, pointed out there's so much concrete you can't really get a full resonance or vibration. You can still have nice humming's good for you anyway because it activates your vagus nerve. But yeah, you just get a nice little yeah, but if you want to, if there was no concrete in there, I wonder what it would have been like. We've actually been in there quite a few times doing chanting over the years. We once meditated in there, 20 odd years ago, and we almost, I think, had a bit of a time slip because a couple of hours had passed, and it only seemed about 30 minutes really, in reality. Now, during those first couple of years of me coming over here, around 95, 96, I got sucked into the world of dowsing. How appropriate I'm here. How appropriate I'm here. I'd known about dowsing for quite a while. I'm sure, like everybody, I read the fantastic seminal work, The Son and the Serpent by Hamish Miller and Paul Broadhurst in the late 80s, where he rediscovered the Earth energy current of the Michael and Mary, okay, which goes through Avebury. And that goes from if you don't know about that, it's a very strong Earth energy current that goes from Cornwall, where I'm going tomorrow, all the way up to the Norfolk coast and then out to the North Sea. And he wrote a fascinating book about it called The Son and the Serpent, which was also suggested by John Michel back in the 60s about these Earth energy currents. And as a dowser, I'm not a big fan of ley lines. I think they're slightly different. I'm not a big fan of ley lines. I think a lot of it is wishful thinking. You know, you actually look at it on a line in a map or an OS map, and they don't quite align sometimes. Yeah, a lot of it I think is wishful thinking. But Earth energy currents, they're easy because it's not an exact science, unfortunately, because they weave and contract. Earth energy currents weave and contract. So you sometimes a reading you might get one day, you might not be the same the other, unless you guys want to correct me. And also it could be underground water systems, which seems to be the main thing. That could be underground water currents going through, which may activate the energy, okay, with your rods. Because these rods here, I know good old copper ones, I bought these, now watch me try and be really, I'm trying to be mystical now, but I'm not. I bought these in the Henge shop in 1996 and I still got the same rods. When I use these, there's no reason for this whatsoever. when I'm at Avebury, especially where I'll be going to probably tonight, I stick them in the ground for 5 minutes just to ground them. There's no sign or anything why that does any good, but I do. And I also hold them upside down. I don't hold them, most people hold them like that. I just hold them upside down. I think there's less room, especially if it's a bit windy, less room for any errors. We were, me and my friend Rob, from about 2010 to 2017, were trying to find out if the grid system Avebury, which should exist pretty much everywhere, the positive and negative, the yin and the yang, these spirals and radials coming out from the stones itself. But the stones aren't actually, most of them may not be in the exact positions that they were felled. But when they were re-erected by Alexander Keeler's team back in the 1930s, were they in the exact spots of where they were before. But the energy signature of the stones should still be there. Because it's a physical object, doesn't mean if the energy signature's not there. So I had all these rods, and it's really difficult to do because everyone's coming out wanting to find out what we're doing, and chatting to us. And some very strange people indeed, Around when we first started is when we first met Adrian. But that was a fascinating time.
That was strange people, wasn't it?
Yeah, very. No, not you. Adrian. But we did meet some quite strange person who said there's no point in dowsing and we're all going to be gone because it's 2012 and all the serious stuff and we're all going to die and all this nonsense. But no, it was very interesting. We never published any of our work, unfortunately, and which we had now. And I don't have the notes. My friend Rob has them. I haven't seen them for a couple of years. So this is about probably about 2011. Oh, fresh-faced youth, look at him. Hey, 60 now. My goodness. That's a very powerful thing. I'm just outside I can't actually see where I am actually. Only about 2 years ago, I came and did a lot of dowsing with my friend Neil. He runs a pagan moot and does a lot of pagan festivities in the circle around the lunar cycle of the year. And the ancient sites, and he sort of tasked me with trying to find some of these ancient stones, and luckily managed to prove that I got it right, which was nice. Because I say it's not an exact science. It does work. We all know dowsing works, but to the actual, I still get skeptics even now. And it's the only thing that I do that I know works. But as a paranormal researcher as well, I am a sceptical bugger. So I'm thinking, well, what this? I like a bit of science behind it. And there is a little bit with dowsing, but it can't really be said, no, this is what causes it. I think we're just a conduit. Debbie was saying, I don't think consciousness is local. I think it's non-local, as Debbie was saying. We're just beings that just take in that transmission. Yeah, and there's something that goes in through you, through the rods, and into the land. I have asked, talking about my pagan friends, I have asked a lot of I'm not pagan, I'm not religious or anything. It might say a pilgrim's journey, but it doesn't mean I'm religious, which I'm not. Bring up a nice little thing. This was at Swallowhead Spring a couple of years ago. I don't think they should be leaving trinkets and things, non-biodegradable stuff at the temple, but there you go. And I say to you, why do you, as modern druids, celebrate all your equinoxes, summer solstice, all that, at these ancient sites? Because, are you a druid? I say, he said, yes, I'm a modern druid. Okay, so why do you do that? Because Avebury, Stonehenge, all these predate druidism by thousands and thousands of years. And a couple of my friends actually said a very nice answer. They said, we realise that, but it's just a place we like to adopt because it feels good. And I thought, well, that's fair enough. So, remember, it's prehistory, so we have absolutely no idea why these places were built. But we know they feel good. We know they feel good. You go there and you feel the energy and it's just like, wham, bosh. Especially around the Red Lion pub. I'm not saying it's a pub. But the Michael and Mary current really converged there, just past the crystal drop at the end. And it's where the obelisk is, which is would have been the largest stone in the temple, which William Stukeley, the great antiquarian William Stukeley, managed to sketch just before it was knocked down. Dowsing's anything special, anyone can do it, I really do. We've already mentioned Maria Wheatley, Adrian of course, we've already mentioned Maria Wheatley, who's done some fantastic work at Avebury. Really amazing. I've met her a few times. Yeah. I was in the crop circle that was 2011, I think. You see the Pemsley White Horse at the end, at the back there. It was a soaking wet day. I don't know what, sorry about the pretentious hat again. But yeah, that was an interesting crop circle. And we doused it, didn't get anything. Usually you can detect something in the crop circle, but no, nothing much was really happening there. So yeah, I am sceptical of crop circles. I say, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I'm happy to talk to you guys later on about it. I don't think it's aliens or anything like that. prominent St Michael and Mary energy current goes through the temple. We've been doubting that for quite a while. And even when I go round the back of the crystal shop, I sort of get a little bit of a whoosh, you know, which I say, I'm not psychic or anything like that, or my medium friends say we're all psychic, we probably are. But I don't know why that is, but as soon as I go, and I always get a result there, always with the rods. And now I'm a paranormal researcher. I've done so many investigations, case studies, and Avebury, again, is an amazingly active place. Now, again, I'm a sceptical bugger. I need someone saying I saw a ghost. Fair enough, that's good, okay. But I want to know the conditions of them seeing maybe an apparition. I mean, for example, in Red Lion, you've got the ghost of Florrie. I'm sure you've all heard about that, where an old maid was thrown down a well. I wrote a book called Paranormal Surrey a few years back, around 2011 when we were here. It's just all like folk tales of Surrey, the county of Surrey. But I don't actually think that anywhere is haunted. What I mean by that is, I think it's everywhere. There's probably stuff walking around us now. Yeah, absolutely. I don't believe in haunted houses. I don't know. If I'm doing paranormal research, I never use the word haunted, ever. Or I say just active or energy. It's all energy. So, I mean, even back in the day, we did an investigation at the Red Lion. That's 2007. It was quite an interesting evening, purely for the fact we got absolutely nothing. You know, absolutely nothing. But this is back when the Red Lion used to have rooms you could sleep over. I don't know why they don't do that again. That would be fantastic to sleep there overnight, you know. But yeah, it was really interesting. Then we went out to the Stones in a really windy, cold, no, it was June, beginning of June, around this time actually. But it was a really windy evening. And you couldn't, you know, I don't know what people were quite expecting. But from a paranormal point of view, there is stuff that goes on around here. But it doesn't seem to be always Avebury itself. It actually is a surrounding area, especially around Eastfield, where the old crop circles used to kick in, and Adam's Grave, all around there. Thank you. I'm going to continue coming to Avebury as long as I possibly can. Say, because I live in Surrey and I've got an old car, my car blew up recently. Luckily it's back on the road, so I can't get down here that often. It's an amazing place to go to. I always recommend people say to me, oh Mark, you travel a lot, where should you go to? Avebury. I always think Avebury straight away. And a lot of people haven't heard of it. You know, they know Stonehenge, which is absolutely devoid of any energy because of what English heritage have done. You know, I know it's a tourist trap, they do work, I know, I'm being a bit nasty there. Before I sign off, is there any questions?
Hi. Thank you very much for your talk.
Thank you.
I'm inclined to agree with you about the atmosphere in this part of the world. I was talking with Anne earlier about it. How would you describe it? Is it tangible, this atmosphere? What is there about the atmosphere in this part of the world that you think is different or special?
I think that I should have pointed. That's a very good question. I think this is a powerful energy centre. There's probably about 4 or 5, 6 powerful energy centres around the world. Egypt, there's pyramids all around there. I think Avebury is one of them. I really think Avebury is one of them. It's tangible, and it's an electromagnetic field. It's really, you just feel it when you go there. Some people might not. They're going there for a day out, have a drink at the pub, job done. But I think that it's a powerful energy centre in the world, not just in England, but in the whole planet. But yeah, I think Avebury is probably the strongest energy, certainly in the country. Sorry, this lady was before. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm curious to know about when you doused in Avebury. I think you said something about grid lines. Can you speak a bit more about that? And just because it fits quite well with what a lot of people in the area talk about, that it's like walking into a giant battery, and that there's energy lines connecting the stones, and that's how it feels sometimes.
I think you said that perfectly. It's like a big battery, isn't it? Yeah.
So tell me, when you doused, and did you presumably mapped?
We mapped it all out. So I haven't got any of the data anymore. It's all my friends got. Yeah, it was like a grid system. So we will come out of this, of this one here, for example. You know, you're going out at radials, like that. And if you've gone forever, you need 1,000 lifetimes to douse the whole thing. You're going out at radials, and then they cross as well on the radials. So we did that over a couple of ones and said, okay, let's then just, it's how they map the universe. You know, you take a small portion, douse it, and then add that onto the rest of the circle. Because I think Avebury actually is probably bigger than we think it is. So yeah, it's all literally just coming out. And I really wish I had the research, but I haven't anymore because my friend's got it out.